So we are ready to get started, and may I request Brian Mendonça and John Samson to come to the stage. I'll briefly introduce the two poets. So Brian Mendonça is the author of Piece of India, Poems in Transit, and Last Bus to Vasco, Poems from Goa. His poems have been published by Sahitya Academy and have been anthologized. Today, he's going to be presenting his third book of poems called Jasmine City, Poems from Delhi. Brian is also an assistant professor at the Mount Carmel. I'll just read this. Carmel College, and yeah, he's a professor at Carmel College. A little bit on John Samson. Interestingly, John Samson is a dental surgeon by profession based in Pune, India. He has done a stint in storytelling, speech and drama in Artemis, a Steiner School in West Sussex, UK, followed by a master's in creative writing at the University of Exeter, UK. John has just been published. He's just done his Dancing with Moonbeams, and he's going to talk to you about the poems from this book. So please welcome on stage.
Come to the pic. Yeah.
Do your mics, just check your mics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. A pleasure to be with you all here. I just like to start off by reading a few poems, and also want to give a little background. So in 2007, I was driving to work, and my wife and children were at home. And on the way to work, I felt cheated, I wanted to be with my family. And so I've got a very strong gut feeling, like, leave this and try something else. And I really celebrate that decision. It was a bit difficult for me because of, many factors. But I think the internal journey was very rewarding. And these poems came from that journey. When one leaves the social narrative, we are nourished, by that. And then we have to find that source from within us. And I think that's what happened to me. And I think that's where these poems have come from. So I was speaking to David from Ingram, and he said that, so John, what did you study and from where these poems come? And I said, actually, these poems wrote themselves. And then David joked with me. He said that, hey, that's cheating. So without further ado, I'll start. This poem is called Afresh. I paint the sun, I paint the sky, I paint the words, I paint the sigh. My words are paint, the page a canvas. My thoughts are wild. My heart's a furnace. My world's adrift. Life's a la carte. My day is night. My night's an art. My ship is lost, but far from done. My crew has left. My life's begun. Hey. Thank you. Aftermath. When things go down the wrong way round, and it's not the way it's supposed to be, don't forget yourself. You'll find help from a stranger in the street. When life seems strange, needs a rearrange. When nirvana turns to apocalypse, and the world you know is lost in the afterglow, you'll find a rider in the storm.
So beautiful, rider in the storm. How many times we have lost our way, and then, there's a bike who comes in front of you, and, well, you just follow the bike, and when you reach your destination, the bike is gone. That's providence, that's fate. Please carry on.
Yes, Brian, that's such a nice analogy. Artesian well, that's on page 12. You say you love me. Well, you love me today. And yes, our love does flow when we are both this way. Our love is forever. If forever is today, tomorrow is another forever in its own way. I said I love you, and I meant to be true. As long as I am I, and you are you. But we can change, and our paths may diverge, and our feelings may rearrange, and a new love may emerge. Life goes on in a never-ending spasm. The sure ground that connects us today may tomorrow be a chasm.
Thank you so much. I was just thinking that copies of this book are available with my friend here. So if you want to follow the poems and, get the thrill of reading it while he's reading it, you can pick it up from him. I think it's just 200 chips. Today we are celebrating poetry, and it is unprecedented because both the poets here have their books out in the audience, and look at them coming up, getting the books. This is what makes poetry live. If you don't buy poetry, you cannot write poetry. So each of you people see that you pick up a copy and go home with good memories. Carry on.
Thank you. So I'm going now to page 17.
Page 17 coming up. Your copy is on my left.
Carpe diem. So carpe diem, we know, is seize the day. I first heard of it in Dead Poets Society. Yeah. And I said that, when life as I know it changes, and I can't recognize now anything that was once familiar. So I called it will seize the remains of the day.
Okay. It's interesting.
Thank you. I will. Is it better now? Oh, great. Thank you for saying that. That's so helpful. The world of stories took me to places dark and grim. The only light came flickering from the deepest recesses within. Flitting in and out of fantasy, Venetian days and Damascus nights, tales told in dark street corners or under harsh city lights. Storytelling's a fickle lover. As a coachman, I found out, carpe diem's all that's left when the telling wanders south.
Nice one. Thank you.
So the next page is closure on page 18. Our roads don't seem to meet. I keep seeing you across the street. And when my heart beats fast, you just seem to walk right past. Slow down, or we'll miss the beat of life. We really ought to meet. We can give each other what we are both longing for, but our force of habit keeps closing the door.
Thank you. A clap for these great poems. I know many of my books are out there in the audience. So if any of you want me to read a poem, you put your hand up and I'll read that poem. That was the whole idea of this exercise. Meanwhile, I want to tell you, or want to share with you that what I'm doing is very paradoxical, because when I was in Delhi, I wrote on Goa, right? And Beena has that book, Last Bus to Vasco, Poems from Goa. It had a CD and it had a lot of annotations. Now I'm in Goa and I've written on Delhi. You see, 2,000 kilometers separate Delhi and Goa. And while I was on the Goa Express, my favorite train, for 2 nights, I was thinking, and writing. And the sojourn has brought me 3 self-published books of poems. So I'm so happy to be uniting these 2 places, because in some way I feel it leads to an understanding of these 2 cultures and these 2 moments in my life. Yes, what was the request for that poem? Which one? This is a very favorite poem of my students. I'm happy to acknowledge so many students from Kamal in the audience. They are my true fans. Thank you. Okay, people, I'm going to do this differently. Let's all read this together like in class. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Call me. Call me to your home. All of you, you're poets. When the breezes are free and caring. Come on, I want to hear you. Not wailed in doubt and redress. Call me when you are lonely in a world of shifting similitudes. Call me when the noonday sun arches its brows to the west, its journey half done. Call me to the hidden places where your spirit roams free. Call me in your silences when you are oh so far away. Call me in the fullness of a leaf in season. Call me in your quietness, and I will come. Thank you. Second request from the house. Which poem? Page?
Yeah, but mother art.
Oh.
So, I mean,
Is there a book in that bag there? Oh, in that bag, yeah? There is? Yeah, bring it. Thank you so much.
thank you, Brian.
I'll do Bhairavi. No, this is not the page. Bhairavi, page number? So from 3, we go to 45. Don't miss the illustrations done by Kallol Majumdar in Kolkata. This is a very special poem. Hi, Glennis. Welcome to my colleague, Department of English. Let's give her a big round of applause. Glennis and the department organized a launch in our college, and I'm so happy to mention our college as being supportive of this kind of venture. Bhairavi was written in All India Radio Delhi, and it was a time when there was a lot of chaos because people were dying. And if you look at the poems, at the end, there is a page on the year. So if you look at Bhairavi, I'm not sure it'll take time to get the year, but the year is mentioned, and there were riots in Delhi. I have not flinched from writing about riots, but I do it in a subtle way. I love All India Radio so much, and we used to have this opening Shenai, All India Radio starts with that opening Shenai of Bismillah Khan. And I do the morning shift sometimes, get up at 4, the car used to come at 4:30, and I used to be in the studio at 5:30 in the morning. Bhairavi is a raga, some of you know. India wakes to Bismillah Khan as the Shenai subsumes the pain of the nation. Notes quiver towards refuge unyielding as Bairagi laments the stench of burnt flesh. Dagger to the soul, virgins disemboweled. Lagta hai, abhi bhi kuch zinda hai is desh mein. Thank you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So beautiful. Very powerful imagery which one can draw from that. And you've written the place below.
Yeah.
That's where it was written.
Yes, Akashwani Bhavan. That's where I used to work. I'll take one more poem from the house. Any suggestions? Any suggestions? Yeah. Okay. Page number, please. 30. I used to live alone in Delhi for a long time. And very often, I never used to get sleep. What do I do when I'm awake? All of us are awake at some point, sometimes interminably, but we don't want to acknowledge it. Some people don't even get sleep at all. But why don't you write it, record it, and write the name, write the time? And this is exactly what I saw at 3 a.m. If you're up late at night, you can see strange things. Am I right? And that is the stuff of poetry, hai ki nahi? Okay, is that Shalin there? Shalin, I'm so happy to see you. St. Xavier's College. Let's clap for my college. St. Xavier's. Okay. Now, I want you to put emphasis in this poem. Let's do it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 3 a.m. All is still at 3 a.m. A curtain sways. Come on. As Bacchus returns, she walks in beauty like the night. As she fills her jeans like the curves of a jali. With knitted brows, Orion slumbers on. As high above, just look at the stars, scattered in complete disorder. No proportion, no system, no sense, no pattern. An aircraft smashes the speed of sound. तो इसमें जो है मैंने 2 पल शामिल किया. There is Ghalib and there is Byron. So there are 2 different worlds. There's Delhi and there's England. But it comes together at 3 a.m. when I'm looking at the beauty as she's walking down my lane. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. I actually am enjoying them so much, so I would be quite happy if you could. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I think that works well. Thank you so much. So I'm going to page number 24, edgewise.
I hope you'll have all picked up your copies available here. Beautifully brought out by Curate Press. Good paper and
Pippa.
we have a packed house today. Poetry is happening, people. Let's make some noise, like they say at Rock Festival.
So page 24, edgewise. Don't look for me in the edges of where you think I ought to be. because I'm uncertain about hedges that stray away from me. You'll find me on the dance floor, in the center, all alone. And should we dance together, we can take each other home.
Wow, just put your hands together for that beautiful, crisp poem.
Thank you.
Any suggestions for Jasmine City? Any poem? Any requests? Sonia? Page number? 56 coming up? 66.
66.
That sounds like Housey. And 666 is the mark of the devil. November Moon is a very introspective poem. It's one of the longest poems in this collection. I don't usually write such long poems, I get bored. But it's probably written at night. And I had all the time to think. I'm describing the outside world as well as the inside world. The kikar tree is what you find in Delhi. And I think let's all make this an English exercise with your permission, Glennis. Okay, Department of English, taking it to the moon. So let's all read this poem. And of course, we cannot but remember November Rain by
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. November Rain, amazing song. But this is November Moon. This is my own truth. So are we ready, people?
Yes.
November Moon coming up. The crescent,
moon
hangs low in the west. Venus follows in hot pursuit. As the potted plant tugs at my rosary. Twixt earth and heaven, death and motion, where is our place in the scheme of things? Must we, like dragonfly, dart between loci, or like the mute, attempt to scream our incoherence? Does the kikar have the answer, evergreen in its fullness, or the trough of fresh water waiting for the bird? Light incandescent fills my being. Beyond the trees, the staircase hovers. The act of writing redeems the moment to pause, to be still in the sepia of voices. Life is beauty, fineness, and soul. Ensnared in the kikar's branches, the now gold orb breaks free in onward descent beyond the horizon. For the duration of its journey, it held me in thrall. Its absence behoves a return to the faith. The value of living is experienced in encounter with oneself, the heavens, the earth, the spirit. Once again, the value of living is experienced in encounter with oneself, the heavens, the earth, the spirit. Over to you.
You know, it was so nice to picture that trough of water waiting for the bird. I mean, that was really nice. Really.
Thank you so much.
Delicate touch of ordinary things. Beautiful. But I read up. Growing up on page 31. Growing up. When we were young, we played in the sand. We splashed in the water. You held my hand. Now we are older. I'm kind of married now. And you have gotten bolder. I miss you somehow. I see you sometimes in the shadow of alleyways, on dark street corners. I miss the old days. Now that we are older, There's nowhere to hide. Like sandcastles, our dreams are swept away in the tide. I'm living in the heartbreak of what can never be. I loved you from the moment when you first smiled at me. My mind keeps telling me you're on a different path. But as I see you on the street tonight, I can't still my beating heart.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Should we do some questions? I think they said 5 minutes more.
Do you say?
That's a beautiful observation, Beena.
So, do you also sing? Are you with a band?
Yes, that's a very interesting. So during this COVID time, I returned to the guitar and singing, which I used to do when I was very young. And somehow I got into dentistry, and I guess, root canals and orthodontics and singing go together. A few years after leaving, quite a few years, I especially fond of Bob Dylan and Cohen, and it's a wonderful suggestion. I will take you up on that.
But you should sing to your patients. Everybody's biggest fear is going to the dentist. So
Yes.
if there was a singing dentist, we wouldn't be so afraid.
Oh, that's her, yeah. Do that. And nitrous
Yes.
sing, yeah. Thank you.
So, any more questions? Please ask. This is your opportunity. Yes. Mario. Yeah.
Do you know that your poem are full romance?
Your poems are full of romance. So, would you describe yourself as a romantic? How would you describe yourself?
He's also a poet, by the way.
Oh, how
Mario
thank you.
Coelho.
Mediocre
I
poet.
could make out from your question that you are a poet.
Okay.
So I'm using my poetic license to answer that one. So I guess I could say I'm a hopeless romantic, but I'm also hopeless at romance. So I'm kind of, I realized through my poems that life is full of edges and gaps. And I'm always trying to search for solid ground, and it's continuously escaping me. So I've learned to live in the edges and the gaps of my life. And romance is something which I definitely aspire to, but more through the pages rather than through actual life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike. No, you said.
Hello.
Okay, you all can move around in the audience if you.
Hello. Yeah. Mr. Samson, I like that poem where you said we could meet at the edge at night or something. Instead of you going, we could meet at the edge, hold hands, and go home. That shows a lot of heartbreak. A lot of heartbreak in your life. Sort of feeling I got.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So, I noticed that, when I was younger, and as I said about romance, that when there was a hiatus and there was heartbreak, it was very strange. When my heart broke, it opened up life to me. It was a beautiful thing, actually. It was actually an invitation to life rather than to despair. And that's what I really discovered, that when there's a gap in life, it's a time to actually live. That's where actually life is speaking to me, in those gaps, because otherwise I'm John Lennon said that life is what happens to you when you're busy making plans
Absolutely.
That's true.
So these are the moments in which we can actually listen to what our heart says, listen to what life is saying to us. And so now I actually welcome it when this happens.
Well said.
Thank you, Brian. I must really have a heartfelt acknowledgement to Brian because I can make out he's a stalwart presence, and it's so reassuring to have him next to me.
My
No, I
students
really
are there now.
This is really true.
We still have time for 2 more, I think. Yeah. 2 more questions.
Any questions from the back? I like the back benches.
Lots of you that
Yes, please.
I have your book of poems, Last Bus to Vasco.
Thank you.
And how many years have passed from that book to your latest one? Many years have passed.
No, this is a tricky question.
The reason why I'm asking is because I see a quantum leap in
You-
the quality of your poems. I'm not saying those poems were not good, they were. But I find that you've kind of, leaped, you've jumped. And, I want to kind of say this. I find that your poetry is very, very nice today. Really good.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that observation. I dedicate all my poems to Goa and the universe. But it needs to be said that the poems of all my volumes were occurring concurrently. Okay, I was writing on Goa, Delhi, and other places I was visiting because for me, Delhi was a crucible which gave me the opportunity to travel to different places. But Last Bus to Vasco is a collection that's focused on Goa. Piece of India is based on different places all over India, and Jasmine City is only on Delhi. But I do feel a lot more confident while, reading from here. But that doesn't detract from the fact that these poems are almost 20 years old. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting to know. So they were already in the crucible, and then now they've come onto the page.
Poetry lives forever, okay? Nadia, are you there? Hi. Believe in yourself. Tomorrow someone will publish you. Just one last thing. All these 3 volumes, May the House Hear It and May It Be Recorded, are self-published. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it yourself. Thank you.
So I just want to say a very short thing about self-publishing. These poems have been sitting with me for quite a few years. And in December, I went, we have something called Alternative Education Society. So we were having an event, and one person did a workshop on self-publishing. And he said something to me. He said, John, don't publish thinking of selling your book. Publish being connected to the process of discovering yourself. So that's my message to you all. And please, it's so wonderful when you do something for yourself. The whole chatter and clamor of the world voices settle down and you start listening to yourself and connecting to yourself. And that's a beautiful experience, which I would really wish for all of you. Thank you.
So we do have a session on self-publishing in this hall today at 12:12. So be there. All the students and all the wannabe poets who want to be published, please be there and you can have your questions answered. And even Brian is going to be attending, and I hope even you will be attending, John. So is that it? I think we are done. We've finished ahead of time. Yay, let's give ourselves a clap.
Yeah.
Be that, yeah.
And I, as a person on this floor, I really want to again express my gratitude to Brian and to Beena.
Thank you. This is my first time.
So at home with them on the stage. You all made me feel so comfortable.
Thank you very much, Gal.
To all of you.
Thank you, Vivek. And thank all of you.
5-minute
and
break
Beena.
and the next session will start.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for all of us.